Let's begin the discussion. Module 3B. Module 3B is the learning resources. The learning resources that we're going to use in this module are the DepEd Commons and the LR portal. Module objective. By the end of this module, we will be able to first, associate learning resources with specific learning modalities. Second, access resources from online portals such as DepEd Commons and LR portal of the Department of Education. And last is to explain the importance of using quality assured LRs. Module content. Lesson 1, Learning Resource Maps for Distance Learning. Lesson 2, Accessing Learning Resources from DepEd portals. Lesson 3, Assessing the LR materials. Lesson 1, Learning Resource Maps for Distance Learning. Sa unit na ito, malalaman natin kung bakit nga ba ang pinili ng ating paaralan na learning modality ay blended learning. Topic 1. Ang kagawaran ng edukasyon ay nagsuggest ng iba't ibang estratehiya on how to implement the different distance learning modalities. It has 7 appendices that should be considered. A. General guidelines and considerations. B. Descriptions and consideration for each distance learning delivery modality. Map of the learning resources needed for each subcategory of distance learning delivery modalities. D. Weekly home learning plan and individual learning monitoring plan. E. Sample weekly home learning plan 2. F. Individual learning monitoring plan. And last is the matrix of requirements of the distance learning delivery modalities. Appendix A. General Guidelines and Considerations. Una, distance learning may be implemented through the following delivery modalities. A. Modular distance learning. May dalawang kategorya ang modular distance learning, ang digital modular distance learning at printed modular distance learning. B. Online distance learning. C. TV, video, or radio-based instruction. Ito naman ay may tatlong kategorya. TV video, self-learning, material-based. Pangalawa, TV video, MELT map. At pangatlo ay radio-based instruction. At panghuli ay ang blended distance learning. Malalaman natin kung ano-ano nga ba ang mga distance learning na ito sa Appendix B. Number 2, as stipulated in DepEd Order Number 7, Series of 2020, entitled School Calendar and Activities for School Year 2020 to 2021, schools and community learning centers under the supervision of regional offices and school division offices are authorized to decide on the specific distance learning delivery modality which may be deemed appropriate in their context. Lumabas sa ating Learners Enrollment Survey Form o LESF na ang pinili ng ating mga stakeholder ay ang blended learning modality, na ito nga ay ang magkahalong pagkatuto using offline and online materials. Ikatlo ay ang pagkonsidera sa inilabas na guidelines ng IATF in the implementation of community quarantines. Ang mga lugar na sumaysailalim sa community quarantine ay pinapayuhan na hindi magkakaroon ng face-to-face learning modality, bagkus ay maaari lamang nilang gamitin ay ang alinman sa distance learning modality. Maaari ding pagbasihan ang lokasyon ng paaralan kung ito ba ay ligtas para sa ating mga mag-aaral. Gayon din para sa ating mga school personnels. At panghuli Siyempre, maaari ding ikonsidera ang napili ng mga magulang kung ano ang gagamitin nating learning modality sa pasukan. Pang-apat, kung ang pinagbasihan sa pagpili ng learning modality ay ang pinili ng mga magulang, maaari lamang baguhin sa pamamagitan ng mga sumusunod. Una ay ang health and physical distancing protocols that set by the IATF. Second is the availability of the public transport. Third, changes in the healthy status of the learner. Pang-apat, kung sa bawat assessment ng mga learners ay nagpapakita ng hindi magandang resulta. At panghuli, ay kung may report at indikasyon ng pang-aabuso sa mag-aaral validated through home visitations. Ang lima, the primary learning resource that shall be used are the self-learning modules developed by the regions for the implementation of the alternative delivery modes. 6. Ang iba pang learning resources such as textbooks, learning materials, mag-aligned teachers-made videos, audio lessons, modules, activity sheets, interactive e-materials may be used as supplementals for each learning delivery modality. 7. To make learning manageable for learners, they may be given a set time frame. This time frame shall be guided by the suggested time allotment a math can be mastered. For those learners who are not meeting expectation, remediation is necessary. Pangwalo, weekly home learning plan must be prepared to ensure that the learners are on task and are guided on what they are expected to accomplish. Adjustment in the time frame is necessary kung meron mang legal celebrations and holidays, as well as the cancellations or suspension of classes due to natural and man-made calamities. Ang weekly home learning plan ay madidiscuss sa mga susunod na slides. 9. Regional office and school division office shall organize their own mechanism to ensure that all learners receive copies of the self-learning materials in print or digital format, as well as other learning materials like learners' material textbooks, learning activity sheets, and others. Maaari din natin maging katuwang ang local government unit, ang community stakeholders to assist in making sure na ang mga self-learning materials na ito ay mapoprovide natin to every learner. Pang-10, additional learning materials developed by supervisors, specialists, and teacher may be used to support the self-learning materials. Siguraduhin lang natin na ang learning materials nito ay aligned with MELT. 11. Schools shall ensure contextualizations and integration of learning content. Both spoken language and body language must be appropriate to the grade level, learners' characteristics, as well as kung angkop ba ito sa lugar at kung ito ba ay napapanahon. Ito rin ba ay magiging kapaki-pakinabang sa ating mga learners? 12. Learning facilitator or household partner like parent, guardian, sibling, or other community member should be available to guide and support the learning process of the child at home, as well as provided guidance in accomplishing given home learning tasks. 13. Learning facilitators shall be capacitated on their role through a capacity building program, capable of a particular action to become a competent facilitator. School heads and supervisors are trained first about the role of a learning facilitators to be rolled out to the school level. Learners without available learning facilitators at home, subject teachers may conduct home visits following social distancing protocols, or they may communicate through text messages, phone, or live chats. Teachers or learning facilitators may be provided with load allowance and travel expenses. 14. Ito naman ang mga teachers na exempted for home visitation during ECQ, MECQ, and GCQ. Una, 60 years old and above. Pangalawa, teachers with immunodeficiency, comorbidities, or other health risks, teachers who are pregnant, teachers affected by their respective local COVID severity classification in the area of residence. 15. Strong school, home, and community partnerships shall be done to ensure the effectiveness of any distance learning delivery modality chosen. Dialogue with parents and the wider community is a key step to ensure that the school, parents and guardians, and the wider community have reached a degree of shared accountability and responsibility for the learning delivery modalities chosen. 16. Schools shall strengthen the implementation of DepEd Order 40, Series of 2012, which is the policy guidelines on protecting children in the school from abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other forms of abuse. Dahil nga ang ating mga learners ay nasa kanya-kanyang bahay, Child Protection Committee of the school shall work in coordination in the Barangay Council for the protection of children. Appendix B. Descriptions and considerations for each distance learning delivery modality. A. Modular distance learning. Modular distance learning has two categories: digital modular distance learning and printed modular distance learning. Learners with devices at home like laptop, tablets, and desktop may adopt digital modular distance learning. Self-learning modules we may provide in this category should be in different digital forms such as flat PDF, while the printed self-learning modules shall be used by learners adopting printed modular distance learning. Both self-learning modules for these categories developed are compliant of K-12 following the Alternative Distance Learning Resources standards. B. Online distance learning. A class adopting online distance learning shall follow the regular planning standards in the organization of classes set by the Department of Education. It shall be applicable in a school where both the teachers and learners have access to digital devices. Self-learning modules shall be available through the DepEd Learning Resource Portal, DepEd Commons, DepEd Learning Management System. Here is the screen time guidelines as recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and World Health Organization, which is as follows. Kindergarten, maximum of 1 hour daily. Grade 1 to 5, maximum of 1.5 hours daily. Grade 6 to grade 8, maximum of 2 hours daily. And for grade 9 to grade 12, a maximum of 4 hours daily. C. Television, radio-based instruction. Television, radio-based instruction shall be implemented in areas with access to television networks and or radio stations with program dedicated to deliver the DepEd TV radio-based lessons. Examples are IBC Channel, PTV4 or the People's Television 4, and the Solar Learning. TV and radio-based lessons utilized for these platforms are converted self-learning modules. It is similar with what other learners use in online and modular distance learning. Teacher-made videos that are aligned with the MACs and TV video lessons that are MAC may also be utilized. Materials for learning exercises, enrichment activities, and assessment may be provided in printed form. This is the example of the DepEd TV episodes. B. Blended distance learning. Blended distance learning is a combination of any of the subcategories of distance learning. Schools which allow any of these combinations must meet the requirements of each type of distance learning. Strategies for learners' engagement in all types of distance learning shall be utilized by teachers. Appendix C. Map of the learning resources needed for each subcategory of distance learning delivery modality. First column is the distance learning delivery modality, which are the online distance learning, modular distance learning, TV or video, radio-based instruction, distance learning, and last is the blended distance learning. Second column is the subcategories. Online distance learning for synchronous. Example of these are live teaching. For asynchronous, example of these are materials such as video recorded lesson. For modular, we have the digital and printed modular distance learning. For TV or video radio-based instruction, we have TV video self-learning modules based, TV video map, and the radio-based instruction. For blended distance learning, any combination of the distance learning delivery modality subcategories. For example, we have online distance plus printed modular distance learning. We also have the applicable grade level or the learning area. Key stage 1 are K to 3, key stage 2 are grade 4 to 5, key stage 3 to 4 are junior high school and senior high school. Last column is the learning resource required. Parents or learning facilitators guide will be used in all subcategories of the distance learning delivery modality. Those in green colors are the priority grades to do the specific distance learning in cases where resources are limited. Appendix D. Weekly Home Learning Plan and Individual Learning Monitoring Plan. DepEd Order 42, Series of 2012, which is the policy guidelines on daily lesson preparation for K-12 basic education program, provides the legal basis of lesson plan preparation for the basic education. Order explains how the lesson plan should answer the following questions. A. What should be taught? B. How should it be taught? And C. How should the learning be assessed? Weekly home learning plan shall be developed following these procedures. First, refer to the most essential learning competency. Gather the self-learning modules and other learning materials needed. Use the self-learning modules as reference. Subject area teacher must collaborate to come up with a set of weekly home learning plans for one entire quarter or grading period by integrating all subjects in one learning plan. Teachers should be guided with a long-term vision of what they want their learners to master and at the end of the school year. Differentiated instruction may be manifested.
Teachers should strike a balance between academic and socio-emotional aspect of learning. Next is the parts of weekly home learning plan. A. Learning area. Subject prescribed to be taken by the learners. B. Learning tasks. Formative learning opportunities created for learners to enhance their understanding of the content. C. Learning competencies. Refers to the knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitudes. And last is the mode of delivery. Refers to the method of submission of learning outputs to include written work, products, performances prepared by the learners or parent based on their context or situation. The weekly home learning plan shall be communicated through the parents for their reference and guidance. Copies of the plan may be distributed to parents during the first Parent-Teacher Association meeting before the start of the school year. They shall be given comprehensive and clear orientation by the school about the contents, purpose, and use of the learning plans by their children. The weekly home learning plan shall aid the teachers and parents in keeping track of the day-to-day in school and off school. It creates awareness among learners that they are responsible for what they learn. Weekly home learning plans shall be prepared by teachers implementing distance and blended learning. Dahil nga po ang St. Francis ay gagamit ng distance learning, ito po yung gagawin natin, weekly home learning plan. Hindi na po tayo gagawa ng DLP or DLL, which is prepared by the teachers implementing face-to-face learning. The individual learning monitoring plan, on the other hand, is a more specific tool which shall be used by the teachers and learning facilitators for learners who lag behind, as shown by the results of their formative and summative assessment. Magandang tool siya dahil malalaman natin kung sino yung mga learners na nahuhuli sa ating klase. Ano naman yung pwede nating gawing remedy kapag nakita natin ng ating learners ay naglalag behind. We can provide intervention or strategies. The individual learning monitoring plans serve as the documents that will show if the learner has shown either mastery of the learning competencies, significant progress, or insignificant progress. For learners who are given intervention activity, natural lamang na ang kanilang weekly home learning plan ay ma-adjust din. The individual learning monitoring plans shall be utilized to monitor learner progress based on the given intervention strategies. Specifically, it shall be used to serve as feedback data for learners who are provided with intervention activities, provide a mechanism of support to learners who are lagging behind as manifested by the result of formative and summative assessments, make the parents or guardian aware of the academic progress of their children, help decide on the effectiveness of the learning modality adopted for the learners, and the possible modality adjustment. So, maaari din natin siyang gawing dahilan upang baguhin natin ang ating delivery modality na ginagamit. Guide teachers in adjusting learning contents and tasks based on the characteristic, cognitive ability, readiness, interest, and profile of the learners. Ito naman po yung parts ng ating individual learning monitoring plan. Learners' needs, intervention strategies, monitoring date, learner's status, insignificant progress, significant progress, mastery. Ang example po ng ating weekly home learning plan at individual learning monitoring plan ay makikita sa susunod na mga appendix. Okay, let us now proceed on lesson 2.